Hey, we're doing something a little bit different today. We're going to take you on a Centennial Trail photography walk in our backyard. I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Chris.
and let's get started.
So, we've always talked about how we like to go out in our backyard to kind of practice taking pictures. So, we thought we'd take you along this time, show you some of our pictures as we take them, and walk you through what we did.
And we think it would be really cool for you to kind of actually see what's in our backyard. I tell people all the time, I'm like, we have the the Spokane River in our backyard. We have the Centennial Trail in our backyard. And I don't know that people really get the gist of what that actually looks like. So if you're not from Washington, I think you're in for a treat.
Exactly. And if you're not married to a social butterfly, you're about to get a first-hand treat on what it's like going to walk with someone who knows no strangers.
Okay, so here's the thing. I told him not to roast me. I'm going to have to roast him right back because, before he married me, he knew I was a social butterfly. Anyway, so we usually take this walk about once a week. And sometimes we come out, I bike on the trail, or sometimes Kaya will walk on the trail. Krishan will go and do some photography practice on the trail. So we do use the trail for more than just photography. We use it for a lot of different things, but this is a real treat to just kind of walk with you on the Centennial Trail.
So, that's not true. She's on the trail at least twice a day.
Sometimes 3 times a day. But everybody uses the trail, and I like it because it's something we can do as a family. So, and we've walked as a family. So,
yeah, you'll see throughout this video the different uses of the trail. And if you're looking to moving to Spokane, just to give you a little snapshot to how outdoorsy this place really is.
And you'll see too on the way back. Here's our first photo. You'll see on the way back too, we pass a lot of folks skating and doing different things.
So what I was trying to do here, I was really trying to get that blurred background, get that really nice bokeh, and isolate that one leaf. That's something I am working on, really getting that low f-stop to get the separation, get that leaf to jump out of the picture.
It's really interesting because when you went up for the picture, I was like, what is he taking a picture of? But when I actually saw the photo, I was like, wow, it's actually a red leaf, a couple of red leaves in there. So it's really nice how that R5 can really draw, kind of like reach in and kind of draw out a photo.
Yeah, that AO lens, that 70 by 200 AO lens, the 2.8 is really good at doing that.
What's the L stand for? I meant to ask you that. I have no
It just
clue.
shows that it's their signature line. It's the best lens you can buy from Canon.
Very nice. So you just saw the lady on the bike. Yeah, she's getting it.
Yeah, it just shows people use this trail for many different reasons.
They do. And you say they stop you all the time, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely do.
We got a picture coming up. This one I think is awesome.
Yeah, and this one, I wanted to see how this one looked in Lightroom. When I got it in Lightroom, I really tried to make that photo jump out by dehazing it a good deal, as well as using some noise reduction just to see how much separation I can get in the photo.
I think you did a much better job on that photo than you did with the leaf photo. I did like the red leaf, but I thought that one, it just really kind of jumped out and grabbed you.
Yeah,
which was really nice.
I thought so as well, but what I think I need to work on is really allowing the edit to speak for itself, not over editing, and allowing the photo to speak for itself, so you can see the separation in the background and see the veins and the leaves and the dots in the flower. That's one thing I am working on.
So are you trying to say I over edit my photos, Krishan?
That is not what I'm
AKA,
saying.
AKA, you're speaking to me.
I'm saying I over edit my photos. It's a process, you know.
Yeah.
I remember when we first got started out, everything had this really bright color, unrealistic, and that's one thing I really try to do is make my pictures look as close as possible to how I took them. But, give it a little bit of creative, a little bit of creative hint to it, a little bit of vibe, a little bit of juice on it.
See, I'm all about the creative edge. I love a nice, good creative edge, which I feel like my photos will always be a little more exciting. I like the excitement in the photos. But I do appreciate, we'll see a photo coming up of a young lady where Krishan definitely stuck to the natural elements of that photo, and I just thought it was fantastic. But anyway, so yeah, we're walking along. To this particular day was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I thought I prefer to take photos when it's bright with the sun outside, but Krishan will tell you he prefers to take photos when it's cloudy.
Yeah, I prefer to take it when we got a little overhaze. That way I can control the light a little more and get steady pictures, a steady shot in every picture. And you will see later on in the photos why I like to take them in the wintertime and in the fall as well.
I'm not a real big fan of taking photos when it's cold outside because I'm ready to hurry up and get back inside where the heat is. So a couple of times I left Krishan out on the trail last winter. So I was like, I'm cold. I'm gonna go sit in the car. But
Yeah.
he thrives in that environment.
Yeah, I looked
so.
up and she was in the car with the heat on.
That he don't have. I prefer to take photos when I'm comfortable. Although I do know that nature is not going to allow for that. So I am starting to step out of my comfort zone and try to open up my mind to being uncomfortable so I can get the perfect shot.
Well, the car is always warm when I get there, so I appreciate that.
There you go. See, everybody gets something out of it, don't they? Okay, so this is us down actually on the river. And oh, there I go. So we got another picture coming up. Krishan took this one. I thought it came out really well.
Yeah, I really like the way this picture came out. You know, it's kind of, I like that when you get that f-stop up really high, you can kind of stop somebody in their tracks and still get the definition in the photos, still see every detail within Stephanie's hair here. So I really like the way this picture came out.
I thought it was kind of cool because we keep talking about the different cameras we have. And so you got a really good shot of my camera so people could see what kind of camera that I'm currently shooting with now. I do have some exciting news for everybody. I just ordered my new camera today and it'll be here tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, shout out to, what's the name of that camera?
Glazers Photography in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, they have great customer service. Some of the best I've ever seen at a camera shop.
Dion Baker was the one that helped us and gave us a lot of information on the R6, which is what I'm getting. So, all right, what are we doing here now?
I think we're just really enjoying the view here, but this next shot that's coming up is one of my favorites of the day. I really like how nature can, maybe not this next shot, but one coming on down the line. Really, this right here really illustrates how every shot you take is not going to be a great shot. This right here is a lot of focus is in the lower rocks, and I wanted all of the lower rocks to be in focus, but I think I did too much with the background because the background is out of focus here, but that's something I'm working on as well.
Okay, and then this is the picture I took, which is very similar to the picture Krishan took. And so my view is a little bit zoomed out, and it's a little bit darker.
But you can see how she did a better job of getting all of those rocks to be in focus. My f-stop was too low to make that happen. Mine were all the rocks were blurry with the exception of the rocks in the lower right-hand corner.
And this is where like shutter speed, f-stop, and ISO really come into play, right? Because you tend to shoot more in manual mode, and I tend to shoot more in automatic. So can you help our viewers understand what's the benefit of shooting in manual?
So I shoot exclusively in manual because I want to make sure that I have the most control as possible. I can identify whether I really want to get those waves to freeze by using a really fast shutter speed, or I really want everything be in focus, or I want to have a little more noise to give it more character. So I want to be able to control each aspect of the camera to get the picture the way I want it to be, as opposed to the computer and the camera picking those settings for me. Now, I will admit, the camera does a better job than I ever could, but this is one of my favorite shots right here. I mean, it really shows how nature you can't I couldn't have set up a better shot if I wanted to. It really shows how nature makes the best subjects sometimes.
Yeah, they do. And so now my picture, this is my picture. So it's kind of funny. I was talking to Sean. So this is the same like tree. And so he took his from one side and I took mine from the other side. And honestly, they look like two different trees in two different locations. So again, angle, perspective, it's really cool when you jump in there, different cameras, I had mine on automatic, he has his on manual, he has a little more control. And so I think that just makes the picture look totally different. And I think this is really good that we're doing this video because it kind of shows you we're both out, we're in the same place, it's the same kind of weather, same amount of sunlight, but some of our photos look vastly different. And I like that. It kind of shows the range of what you could have.
It really shows the personality of the photographer. You know, with what composition you pick. You know, I tend to shoot my pictures up high because I have bad knees. I'm not going to lay down. And as you'll see in this photo, Stephanie's stooping and crawling behind each rock and taking low pictures because she got them good knees,
so
you know?
That's funny. But what I wanted to explain to everybody is, and I think I explained it a little bit in the last video, is I'm a point and shooter. And I always feel like the camera is going to do a far better job of focusing and kind of honing in way better than I can. Now, I'm learning, which is why I'm doing more shooting in automatic. Plus, I have a short attention span and a short amount of patience. So I kind of like to point, click, and then get my photo. But what I want to start graduating to is doing a little bit more manual work once I get more experience and more hours behind the camera. And so as we go along in the next months and years, I will try to switch over to be a more manual, to have more control over my photos instead of in automatic.
Yeah, but I think that it's value in that because when you have it in automatic, you can see what the camera's picking. And if you get a picture you like, you can go out, put it in manual, and try to recreate that same shot. And that's a great way to learn.
So I warned Krishan that I was going over because I saw this girl and I was like, this is going to make a good photo. And so I warned him that I was going over because he's real shy and things like that. So I'm going over to see if she'll let me take a picture of her. He's like, oh, goodness.
That's just part of being married to a social butterfly.
Right, but I feel like you got to seize the moment too, because a good photographer knows when they see a picture, and sometimes it's not always planned out.
And I agree, it definitely paid off. These pictures came out really good.
All right, so this first picture is the one Krishan took with his camera.
And I was really trying to use that rule of 3/4 and get her off to the side a little bit and highlight the background, and her face, the light was hitting her face perfectly, so it was kind of like putting a halo on her hair. I thought it came out great.
All right, now this is the photo that I took, and they look like two totally different photos. Again, I have a little bit more creative edge, so I brought those colors out. I made her skin tanner, and I kind of brought more light and more vibrancy into the photos. So I thought it was really interesting. I was like, man, I like your picture better because he likes to kind of play it more in a natural tone, and I really felt like that really came out really well with that one.
What I try to do is I try to use that rule of 2/3, offset them a little bit, bring the background in, but when I get back into post, I like to, in my mind, vision, okay, if I was there in person, what did it look like? So with her skin, it was like giving, in post, it was giving off an orange look to it, and it didn't look like that in person. So I tried to use the features within Lightroom to isolate her, edit her skin to be the right tone, and then separately edit the background to make it look natural as well.
So you're more technical in your thought.
Yes.
When you go to editing, I'm more like, okay, how can I make my photo more dramatic? So I'm less technical. Do you think I'll get better as I go with the editing? Do you think I'll become more technical, or do you think that I'd be true to my nature and be more creative in that way?
I think it'd be a mixture of both. I mean, I think naturally, the more comfortable you get with the camera, you'll become more technical because you'll want to gain greater control to fully express that creative side of yourself. But I think knowing you're always going to lean to the more creative side to, bring in more light and use more features just to show off the photo.
All right, so we're coming down the trail here just a little bit, and I think I'm getting ready to. I'm not sure if I'm getting ready to step off and take a photo next, or I think we got a photo coming up. Oh, right here. I just love Centennial Trail in the summertime, and it really does pretty much just the photos, I feel like they kind of take themselves. Is that silly to feel like that?
But I like Centennial Trail because every season gives you something very different.
Oh, well, that is true.
I've probably taken this picture right here 100 times. And every time I've taken this picture, it is coming out. It's coming out different
every time.
It has different colors. You'll have somebody on the trail or somebody on the river canoeing. Or somebody floating on a tube.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of action, a lot of things going on. All right, I took this particular photo here with my camera just to try to bring out the summertime. I always try to, I feel like I try to tell a story in some of my photos, and I feel like this really speaks summertime, this particular, and I love the color of the flower as well. Now, this particular guy, he was talking to you, Krishan. Did he say he was from Tennessee, or?
He knew a lot about Nashville, so I'm assuming he has some experience in that area.
Or he's been there before.
Probably been there, but he had the San Diego hat on, so no telling.
Maybe it's a lot of people that live on the West Coast that travel out to Nashville. People love Nashville. So
now, these dogs were definitely ready for their photo shoot. They were not going to let us go past without them getting some FaceTime.
Right, absolutely.
Very friendly dogs, though. He was a really nice person, though.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's another reason why I like being out on the trail, because you have like photos that are unplanned, if that makes any sense. So you're like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get pictures of the river. I'm going to go out and get pictures of the rocks. But then when you've got, like a young man and his dogs, or a young lady, or you got a biker, or somebody who's roller skating or something like that, that gives you opportunity to be more creative, right? All right, here I am again taking photos of flowers. We're looking at getting a macro lens in the future, and that's going to allow us to, if you guys think this shot is up close and personal, the macro lens is going to allow us to reach into the flower even more. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the micro lens is designed for those up close shots. If you've seen pictures in National Geographic where they really have those bugs that like they're going to jump out of the page, that's what they use. They use some photo stacking, and they use a micro lens. The reason why we're getting a macro lens is because I like taking big landscapes. faraway pictures. But Stephanie, as soon as I take her out on the trail, she goes right up on the flower and taking pictures. So I'm like, yeah, you definitely need a micro lens.
I feel like a flower is always going to make a good photo. I don't think you can go wrong with a flower shot. Anyway,
And
that's
it's
how I
true.
think about it.
Nature, like I said earlier, nature makes for the best subject.
They do.
You just never know what you're going to find. I mean, just like you'll see here in a few minutes, a rabbit ran across the camera,
Yeah.
and I didn't even have time to pick my camera up to take the picture.
Right.
The one thing I like about the R5 is the autofocus on it. Like Stephanie said earlier, there's no way that my human hand is going to be able to focus that picture faster than that camera will. Just like the guy just passed by us, the camera picked that up with ease, but it would have took me a few minutes to open the camera up, switch the autofocus to the feature that I wanted, but the camera does it automatically when I put that autofocus on. So Canon really does really good job. I like to say that autofocus is stickier than the toddler's bathroom. So, 'cause it definitely will.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It definitely will pull out what you're trying to find.
So can you explain a little bit? So I know you got the eye focus for people, you got the animal focus, eye focus for animals. There's some kind of like a race car driver option. Can you tell us
So,
all the options?
Canon's new update, it brought all the features from the R3 to the other R5, the R5, the R6, the R7 and R10, and it has three autofocus settings. Four. You can set it on for none. You can set it on vehicle, people, or animal.
Okay.
And so it works. Like when those dogs walk by, I put it on animal, and it just stuck to those dogs' eyes and made the eyes come out really crisp. We didn't put any pictures of them on here because, I didn't want to be rude and post pictures of someone else's pets online. So
I'm sure they would have came out really well.
he said we could. We asked him when he walked past, but I always like to be leery of. I always like to err on the side of caution and, give people their privacy.
Yeah, I just absolutely love Centennial Trail in the summertime, and I think I enjoy it because I get my exercise and I get a lot of joy from the trail, just some different things that I do. But I also I enjoy people that are also enjoying themselves on the trail too. Yeah. So when I see somebody skating by, one guy was on a Lime scooter the other day. He was on a Lime scooter carrying a half of a bicycle, and I was like, "What the world?" Yeah. So I assumed he lost his other tire somewhere and he had to take a Lime scooter to get home. So that was really interesting. So you see all kind of stuff on the trail.
But anybody who has been part of the running community or cycling or walking or any endurance sport, how really it's a really community-based organization. Right. How everyone's really friendly. They like to be sociable.
Yeah.
I mean, walking down the trail, walking down the trail with the camera, if I don't get a smile from everybody I walk past, I'm surprised because people want to stop, they want to socialize, they want to ask questions. What are you taking pictures of? Yeah. Where are you from? And they're very welcoming in this part of the country, as well as people who are part of those specific activities and groups.
So I want to talk about this shot here, and I know we've kind of talked about it off and on and laugh about it a little bit. I have a tendency to point my camera at the sun, and you're like, that is an absolute no-no. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I don't know that it's absolutely a no-no, but I follow the rule of thumb. If I wouldn't look at the sun, I probably wouldn't point my lens or my sensor at the sun. It may not do any harms to it, but these things are expensive, so I like to be cautious with it because I would rather pay for it just once.
Yeah, and it's good, I think, to err on the side of caution, especially when you're working with expensive camera equipment. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that until you said it, and I was like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't be pointing my camera directly into the sun. I just think it makes really pretty shots too when you can get the rays of the sun coming down.
She has a negative density filter in her
right.
bag. All she has to do is pull it out, put it on there.
Oh, goodness.
And it's a really good one. I want this one because I know she's going to do this, and I want to buy a really nice quality one so she can get some quality photos. So she has that in her bag. So if she wants to point that camera and sensor at the sun, she could do so.
Yeah, so I will work on pulling out my negative density filter more often. So I will do that. So yeah, we got just tons and tons of people passing us. There was a skater just a few minutes ago and somebody on a recumbent bike, and it looks like he had a book in his hand, so he went out to read. I think later on we will catch somebody in a hammock. Yeah. Later.
So now keep in mind, we are enthusiasts. We're new to this. Anything that we say on here, look it up. We could be totally wrong about that. We can probably point your lens and filter at the sun all day long and be fine, but I don't know that to be the case, so I want to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I'm trying to figure out, what do I like what do I love about photography? You know, I've always been a creative being, and just anything I can think of, I just love to do it. Anything that has anything to do with creative or critical thinking skills, or something I can use my brain with to build, or things like that. So I think I love the creative side of photography, and I think that's what I love the most about it. What about you?
I think what I like about it is I've always been the kind of person who I'm a linear thinker, but I also like to problem solve. And as you can see with some of these pictures, it's always a problem to solve. Like, how can I make this a little better? I know there's techniques like this right here. I would love to go back out and take this same picture, but use something like photo stacking or something like that to make sure that I can bring out every detail in this photo. I think photography allows me to do that. It allows me to exercise my mind by trying different techniques and just really testing how much, like, how good I can get at this. Like, this is Stephanie's version of the photo I just took.
And it's drawn out. Have you noticed, like, it's like I got a little more of the landscape than you did, and your photo looked a little darker and mine looked a little lighter. So again, different perspective.
But it just goes to show, like, this one right here is shot with that what's the name of that lens?
Which one? Oh, mine?
Yes, the Tamron.
Oh yeah, the Tamron. It's Tamron.
Tamron, I want to say 18 to 400.
400 or something.
So when you
like
put
that,
it at 18, it's going to give you that more wide look to it. Mine is shot at with the Canon 70 by 200. So that 70 millimeter is going to give you a more close up shot.
So your range is about half of the range that I have, except for now you do have another lens that has a longer range too, right?
No, I have one that has a shorter range. I have the RF. I want to say that one is the 24 by 105.
Oh, okay. I'm missing it. Okay, this is us going back down to the river again, but on the opposite side.
Now, keep in mind, look at all this vegetation that we're walking through.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
You know, I typically don't care to do this because there's snakes and other wildlife out here. And there's a photo coming up a little later. It's going to show you just how much that vegetation goes away during the winter time.
Now, this is a photo you took.
Yeah, this is a photo I took while we were out there walking, and it just shows how much vegetation is out there and how everything really comes up in the summertime. I do typically like to take pictures in the spring and the fall because you get different colors as well. Like this picture right here is taken in the fall, and you can see how that vegetation really retreats in the winter time. I think this is right after the snow melt. You can see some of the ice still floating in the water, but the sky came out amazing, and that Centennial Trail gives you some amazing sunsets.
Yeah, and I think we noticed too this particular summer, the vegetation seemed to come back twofold, didn't it? And we were like, I don't remember having this much vegetation last summer, right? It's like the vegetation has exploded.
I did notice that the vegetation was really high, you know, and because like
just kind of overgrown. Because
what I love to do in the winter and the fall is I'll walk down and I'll see a game trail and I'll wander down the game trail with my camera, and it'll lead me to some cobblestone trail that's been put in there like probably 100 years ago, and I'll get some amazing photos that way.
Yeah. But this is, again, very nice. So if you notice, we came over some like really like dry logs and looked like a lot of like logs and sticks and things like that. We actually, I don't know if the river flooded, but it was definitely higher this year than it's been in the past couple of summers, and the river came way up. And it stayed that way for several weeks. People always ask, "Is the river going back down yet?" So we did see a higher river levels. This
I don't know how
summer here.
How true it is, but it kind of looks like this is like a natural levee or a man-made levee. I don't know, because the water will come all the way up to the trail in some spots. I've never seen it come over the trail, but it come all the way up to the trail, and you can see how all the brush just got pushed out of the water and onto the beach.
I also noticed too that there was a lot of glass. Like it was covered with glass, which is why I was not able to go all the way down because I had on flip-flops. I was trying to be cute. But anyway, because I knew the camera was going to be rolling. But so we thought maybe that glass had come also from the river when it was at its highest level this summer. So it's retreated mostly now.
Yeah,
so.
like you can see earlier in the year in the fall, all this vegetation that was sticking up, if you remember back to the last photo, that was all gone.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the winter just killed it all off. And if you remember back to that log that I took a picture of, you can see how fire comes through periodically, and it will brush away some of that vegetation as well.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we got enough rain this year so it will be, no wildfires, and probably was it a pretty no smoke season hopefully this
Oh
year.
yeah, no smoke. So our smoke season is the month of August, and so we've been here 3 years and only really had one really bad smoke season, and that was not last year but the year before last, and so it was really bad. We had advisories to stay inside, so that people wouldn't get the lung damage and things of that nature. I of course was out on the trail biking with a couple of different masks on my face just because it's hard for me to stay inside the house. But yeah, it was pretty bad. I actually made a video on my channel. You should go check it out, all dedicated to fire season. In the month of August. So like it looks like we're coming back up now to go on the trail, and we're almost done with this particular photo shoot. I can say that I had a really good time, and this was absolutely amazing, this particular one. And it's really nice to kind of okay, you took this photo, right?
Yeah, I was just really showing. I was probably at the limit of the 7mm. I probably should have zoomed in a little closer here. And I typically like to keep my f-stop when I do stuff like this, probably at a 16 to 24, but I was on the fly and just trying to get a cool picture I thought I saw. What I'm trying to illustrate in a few moments when I make this turn is the different things that this trail has to offer. Like when I make this left turn, you can go forward right here, and it opens up to an open field where usually when the vegetation isn't this high, you can have a picnic right there.
Oh, yeah,
you can
sure.
play soccer.
I've seen people do that.
Yeah, it's just so many different aspects. Like right here, look how that opens up.
Oh yeah, totally. I like it because you can use it for multiple different things, and I didn't even think about picnics. I see people do picnics and stuff all the time. So yeah, this is really nice, and it shows you the different terrains too, because you have some really steep places, and then you have some really flat places. So that's always pretty cool. Like in this, I'll try to take some photos this winter. Kaya and I will go up to a hill over here, not too far from where Krishan is right here with the video, and we'll snow sled down the hill. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You can definitely use the Centennial Trail for all types of things.
Yeah, it's definitely a Four Seasons trail.
Definitely. All right, so we are coming up on the end. We have one more photo before the end of the video, and we just want to thank you so much for joining us today. And we really hope you're liking our content here. Let us know in the comments below if you're liking our new perspective on photography and the different things that we're doing. So this is the last shot. I took this shot, and I thought it came out really well. I just wanted to highlight that one with the curve. What's the technical term where the
leading lines?
Leading lines. So that was me practicing the leading lines. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next time.